Tonight on WWE Monday Night Raw in the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, we have more Raw Underground as SmackDown's Braun Strowman will face off with the undefeated Dabba Kato on Raw Underground in the third hour of Monday Night Raw. Now, last week on Monday Night Raw, Braun Strowman showed up surprisingly, unannounced, and went on a rampage through Raw Underground. He demolished anyone and everyone that stepped in his path. And then things got interesting when the undefeated monstrous Dabba Kato stepped up to face off against Braun Strowman. But before they could actually get involved and have a fight, whatever you want to call it, in Raw Underground, Shane McMahon, the host of Raw Underground, stepped in between the two giant men, saying that the fight would be saved for next week. So, given that Raw Underground is tonight, the former Universal Champion and the undefeated Raw Underground Brawler will clash in arguably the biggest fight in stature, of course, to take place in Raw Underground so far. So who will emerge victorious? Will there be anything left of Raw Underground after the two monsters are finished? Now, I must say, when it comes to Dabba Kato, the former Babatunde in NXT, he was previously known as, he's quite well regarded by most people in WWE, most WWE officials and people in NXT hold him in high regard. Look, he's a giant man. He's the classic monster that WWE looks to invest in. I remember watching an interview with Scott Hall, and this might have been 4 years ago or something like that, and he singled out Babatunde at the time as a guy that you want to watch him. He's a big guy. He could be something really, really impressive, someone to look at and worth watching. So I don't have a problem with the way that he's been introduced. If anything, introducing a new superstar just through Raw Underground and building him up that way, that's interesting. We haven't seen that before. Obviously, we're conditioned and used to seeing either people just show up on Monday Night Raw, have some vignettes, or have their work done in NXT. So to not have that, because we didn't really see Babatunde in NXT, to not have just the vignettes and him show up on Raw, to have him start a different way, come through Raw Underground, that's interesting. And interesting is good and different is good. So I don't have a problem with that. I think eventually, you look at Dabba Kato, eventually he's got to get in the ring in WWE, in the Thunderdome or whatever, and actually have a proper match. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, we haven't seen much of him on NXT TV, and we haven't seen him in your regular run-of-the-mill match, hitting the ropes and doing spots. We've just seen him on Raw Underground brawling and killing people. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But I'm not against at all Raw Underground being a way of introducing new stars. If anything, I think it's very, very interesting and unique. We haven't seen it before. Now, I've got to say, Raw Underground has grown on me slightly. I was quite critical of when it started up. I still do have the same reservations of how long can this thing last? Are we still going to have Raw Underground segments in a year's time, 18 months' time? But I have to admit, it has grown on me. I do enjoy some of the segments on Raw every week. However, there are still parts of it I would change, and I think a lot of people would change. Personally, I don't need Shane McMahon's commentary of, whoa, that's awesome, choke, oh, that's sick, that's amazing. I don't need that when I'm watching Raw Underground. I really don't need Shane McMahon's commentary on it. It's like watching Sunday Night Heat in 1999 all over again. He was a commentator on Sunday Night Heat in the late 90s. And personally, when it comes to Raw Underground, I would prefer that the Hurt Business are hosts and have them run it as their kind of club of sorts, have MVP as the host, or have MVP on the house mic, taking bets, doing that kind of deal. I thought that's where they were going. The first week of Raw Underground, of course, finished with the Hurt Business standing tall in it, and it looked great. The look was great. They were standing there in their suits, and the way that it was shot, the lighting, the no ropes rings and all that, it was great. I thought that was fantastic. And then the next week we still had Shane McMahon back. And I would have preferred that the Hurt Business have done a bit of a hostile takeover, shall we say, of Raw Underground. I think that would have been a lot of fun, and I just think they're best suited for it. I just think all of it just suits them so well, and Shane McMahon running it, just, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. There doesn't seem to be that connection of, oh yeah, of course Shane McMahon would run that kind of deal. I don't know. It doesn't work, that part of it for me. Well, also with Raw Underground, I want to see the giant bodyguard get involved. What's his name? Jordan. I think he's just been a bit of a low-key star when it comes to Raw Underground. The way that he guards the door, his relationship with Shane McMahon, some of his interactions with the other people there. He's just money. The guy is ginormous. The guy is absolutely ginormous. Looks like a total badass. Again, I have no idea what his ability is like in terms of him being able to work or him being able to have a match. If he's not so solid in the ring in terms of having a match, at least he can. The Raw Underground, the good thing about it is you don't really need to have matches. You're just brawling. And especially if you're a big guy, you can just throw people around and people can take bumps for you. So I want to see him get involved eventually. I think they will. I think that'll be a vehicle for him to get involved. Again, I mentioned about Scott Hall talking about Babatunde. I remember watching or listening to a Kevin Nash interview about people in NXT. And again, this might be 2 years ago, maybe longer than that. And Kevin Nash singled out him saying, this Jordan guy, he's huge and he's going to be money as well. And you just know for a fact, this Jordan guy is what? He's like 7'3" or something like that. He is absolutely massive. He's absolutely ginormous. You know that Vince McMahon is just looking at this guy with money bags in his eyes and going, oh my God. So it's better doing this and guarding the door than being a ninja. Remember, he was Akira Tozawa's ninja for 5 minutes, which is just... what a horrible gimmick. So thank God he's not doing that, and said he looks like a badass doing this. I think eventually he'll get involved and they'll protect him. That's the good thing with this Raw Underground, is they can protect him. They can hide any weaknesses that he has and they can make him look like a total badass and a huge star. So I think eventually he'll get involved, and I think that'll be a lot of fun too. But most importantly, I think the biggest thing that I would change about Raw Underground, I think anyone would change about Raw Underground, is enough with the camera cuts. I mean, Kevin Dunn, if you're watching this, which of course you are not, but please, if anyone can clip this and send this, I don't know, enough with the camera cuts. It's just ridiculous. There is about 1 million camera cuts during these Raw Underground segments. Every punch, every takedown, every anything, there is a camera cut. In about a 60-second segment, you could probably get about 500 camera cuts, and I'm not exaggerating. It's insane, and it doesn't make sense. When you watch the UFC, which is legitimate, which is what WWE are trying to emulate here, but in a work sense, when you watch the UFC, you don't have 1 million camera cuts during the fight, because it wouldn't make sense and it would take your attention off of the fight. Therefore, you shouldn't have 1 million camera cuts on Raw Underground. It's not hard. If you're WWE, just look, how does the UFC shoot any of these fights? Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. And I know what they're trying to achieve here. I know they're trying to give it a different presentation. And they're trying to make it feel gritty, and they're meant to feel real and chaotic. Support for Wrestle News 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing product. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code. But I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nipped, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again, and it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes, so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favourite features about the lawnmower, is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365wrestle. Your balls will thank you. But a million camera cuts doesn't make it feel gritty or real at all. If anything, it does the complete opposite. If anything, it takes you out of it completely, because all I can think of during these Raw Underground segments is, who keeps doing these camera cuts? Who on earth is doing these camera cuts? It's ridiculous. And it's just too much. It's too much, and that's just a WWE issue in general, really. But if they can stop that, then maybe that'll look a bit better. But well, not maybe, it would look a lot better. Just enough with the camera cuts, really. Now, going back to Dabba Kato, I must say that I absolutely hated it the other week when we had 3 segments on Raw Underground. We had Kevin Owens and Aleister Black fighting each other, and I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed taking the Kevin Owens Aleister Black feud to Raw Underground. I thought that was a lot of fun. But we had 3 segments of it, only for the end game and the end goal of it for them to get completely squashed by Dabba Kato. He came in, chokeslammed him, and kicked the hell out of him. What did that do for either guy? I'll tell you what it did for either guy. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was so confused out of that. How did that further the Kevin Owens Aleister Black storyline at all? It didn't. I understand the purpose was maybe to have Dabba Kato look strong, and I guess it did, but it did nothing for Kevin Owens and Aleister Black. And these aren't 2 jobbers. These are 2 established guys on the rosters. Kevin Owens, a former Universal Champion. You got Dabba Kato, just the disrespect, standing up, squashing both. I just didn't get it. I didn't get that. I thought it was really dumb. Really, really dumb. So I absolutely hated that. And also, during that Kevin Owens-Aleister Black deal, we went to commercial 3 times. What? We went to commercial during what we're meant to believe is a shoot fight. Oh, are we supposed to believe that a shoot fight won't end just because we're on commercial? Do they do that in the UFC? Of course they don't. They don't say, oh, he's got a rear naked choke locked in. Will he tap? We'll find out after the break. Of course not. It was so dumb. I thought that, again, the logic there was so ridiculous. Takes you out of it completely. On top of those stupid camera cuts, then you've got going to commercial during what is meant to be believed as a shoot fight. Just stupid. Back in the day, they didn't used to go to commercial during a match for that reason. Because if you're meant to believe it, why would a match continue during commercial? What happens if it finishes and we had to come back and just go, oh, we missed it? You know, and the idea that it can only end when we're on the air, it lets you know that it's a work. It's little things like that are stupid to me. Now, Braun Strowman, of course, appeared last week. Like I said, SmackDown's Braun Strowman. And Michael Cole, who was on commentary last week, basically tried to throw a SmackDown star appearing on Raw and said, well, anyone can appear on Raw Underground. And of course, what they mean by that is we don't care about the brand split. Because the brand split at this point, it's dead. It's dead. Every time they've ever tried to do it, it's died. Whether it was in 2002, eventually they did actually do that for a while, and they did a pretty good job, but eventually it fizzled out. They did it in 2016, and it fizzled out after about a year. Then you get the wild card rule and the superstar shake-up and this and that. And now you've got SmackDown stars appearing on Raw. You've got people getting traded from SmackDown to Raw. Why? Why? Now, Braun Strowman wasn't on SmackDown this week either, so I guess he's just a Raw guy now, or instead of being on SmackDown, he's just decided to spend most of his time in Raw Underground. From Universal Champion and main event in SummerSlam and Payback to being on Raw Underground on a completely different show. What a drop-off. Now, we know that a draft is coming soon to WWE, so maybe Braun Strowman does go to Raw. But the thing is, even if he does go, Braun Strowman's drafted to Raw, it doesn't mean anything because he was on Raw anyway. It's just it's very confusing. And if you're going, we want Braun Strowman on Raw, do the draft. Wait till the draft. It's just things like that. Again, I mentioned here several times, logic. Sometimes in this recent WWE storytelling, because everything is so last minute, everything is so rewritten, scripts are changed, this, that, it's just, there's no logic in some of it. And I think what frustrates me the most when it comes to no logic is the arrogance of, people won't notice. They won't notice. They won't pick holes in that. Of course they will. It's a TV show. If you're watching any TV show and something doesn't make sense, you go, that doesn't make sense. It's the same with Raw. It's the same with any WWE show or any TV show for that matter. Now, if they implement a Raw Underground Championship, I'd love to see Strowman win it. I think, and I will say, regardless of my thoughts about a SmackDown star being on Raw and the brand split and all that, I think Strowman looks great in Raw Underground. What's awesome in Raw Underground is to see the different styles. I like seeing people like Dolph Ziggler involved. Him doing his wrestling style, of course, because he's a collegiate wrestler and he feels like a badass. Do that. I enjoy the jiu-jitsu style, the MMA style, the likes of Shayna Baszler and the Four Horsewomen. They're legitimate badasses. It works. Bobby Lashley's the same. He's an MMA guy. Get him involved. It works. And then you've got guys like Braun Strowman who are just huge guys. And let's face it, if they went into the UFC, they'd probably lose, but they're big guys and people would be willing to give them a chance. I love to see Braun Strowman in Raw Underground. I think he looks great. And if they implement a Raw Underground title, I think he would do fantastic with that. Now, personally, if they do implement a Raw Underground Championship, and I have no idea if there are plans to do that, some people say no, some people say yes. Eventually, we'll find out. But I think if they do implement one, personally, I'd like to see Bobby Lashley as the first Raw Underground champion. And I know this will never happen, but I think if you really wanted to make Raw Underground work, you wanted to pop that third hour, because that's the reason Raw Underground is on there. It's meant to get people hooked and stay tuned in for that third hour. If they really wanted to do that, you'd have Brock Lesnar show up in Raw Underground, okay? They're all about him returning to the UFC. Will he fight John Jones or will he fight whoever? Why not have Brock Lesnar do his MMA stuff in Raw Underground? Why not? I mean, he's done everything at this point in WWE. I think people are tired of the show up with Paul Heyman, 50-minute promo, stare into the camera, bounce around a bit and leave. Have him do something a bit different. Have him take down some people in Raw Underground. Have the Bobby Lashley-Brock Lesnar match in Raw Underground. Sell some pay-per-views. Say, we're going to finally have Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar on a WWE show, but it's going to take place at a pay-per-view, I don't know, the Royal Rumble, but it's not going to take place in the ring. It's going to take place in Raw Underground. Do that. Why not? Do something different. Now, I don't think that will happen, unfortunately. Certainly not for a while. Brock Lesnar is still out of contract. He will sign with WWE in the end, but he's sitting out the pandemic at the moment unless he gets a lot of money. So, I'd like to see it. I think everyone would. So, as far as Strowman versus Dabba Kato tonight on Raw Underground, it should be nasty, should be ugly, but hopefully they beat the hell out of each other. Two giants facing off always does well, and it gets people's attention. It's just all about the execution and trying to hide any weaknesses that either man has. But I'm morbidly, I'm curious about it. I'm looking forward to it. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Braun Strowman versus Dabba Kato tonight on Raw Underground? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. If you've enjoyed this video, smash a like on the like button as well. Really just help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.